4 o'clock in the morning. The night of March 12, 1942, was the darkest, most discouraging night through which I have ever existed. E. M. Milleen, our Burma Union Superintendent, W. W. Christensen, F. A. Wyman, H. Baird, and I were caught on the eastern side of the Irrawaddy River while fleeing for our lives from the onrushing enemy army. We had 2 cars loaded with valuable mission equipment, but there was no way to get them across the river. Once across the river, there was a rough bullock wagon road starting from Pakoku, leading to Tamu, 300 miles north, which was the pass into India. We had succeeded in hiring 2 country boats about 60 feet long and 9 feet wide and had tied them together with long bamboo poles, but we couldn't get long planks to run the cars onto the boats. We had found some shorter planks and had tied and trussed them up, but an attempt to load one of the cars almost ended disastrously, and as the sun set that night we sank down in despair, not knowing what to do next. There was a sawmill in the city, but the owners and workers had evacuated the mill 3 weeks before, and where they had gone nobody knew. We were tired, exhausted, and discouraged, for we were human. As we lay on our beds, stretched out on our suitcases and luggage, we could hear the boisterous Burmese boatmen laughing as they said, "They are stuck. They are stuck. They'll have to leave their cars and luggage here and walk." "I'm going to have a wheel," said one. "And I need a tire," said another. "I'm going to have one of those suitcases," added still another. And thus they talked till I felt sick all over. I think I know how the children of Israel felt the night before they crossed over the Red Sea. Sleep was unthinkable and impossible, but as I lay there in the darkness, as soon as I could think, I thought of prayer. Why, of course, I could pray. I could tell my father all about it, and maybe he could find a way out or speak comfort to my tired soul. What could we do without prayer? So I prayed and just told the Lord all about it. Then I waited to see whether any words of comfort would come to my mind. But my mind was too tired. It couldn't think. I prayed again, and waiting, tried to remember other troubles from which the Lord had delivered me. Slowly they came to mind. I relived them in thought, and with the reliving of those experiences came peace and confidence. I prayed again, thanking the Lord for the blessings of the past, and added, "Lord, our prayers need not to be answered in our way, but in any way that will bring glory and honor to thy name. Thou hast never forsaken us yet, and as long as thou art with us, we know it will be all right, even if we do have to leave the cars here." Thus I prayed and recalled the blessed experiences I had had with the Lord hour after hour. As midnight passed, I prayed that God would tell me what to do. Oh, that I might hear his voice telling me how we could find some planks, but no voice or impression came except the assurance that God was with us and had not forsaken us. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Then, clearly as if a voice were speaking to me, came the impression: "Go to the sawmill in the city, the sawmill that was evacuated 3 weeks ago. Go now." I didn't hesitate for a moment. I thanked the Lord for his answer to my prayer, rolled up my bed, walked over to the boats, woke up the head boatman, and said, "I've been talking to my God all night, and he has just told me to go to the sawmill in the city." The boatman looked puzzled for a second or two, and then said, "All right, I'll come with you." We hired a bullock wagon that was tethered nearby and started off over the sandbank to the little town of Mingyang, 3 miles away. As we entered the town, the sky was just becoming gray. "Of course it's too early," I said to the boatman. "Even if someone did come today, he wouldn't come yet." But when we got to the sawmill, the great gates were open. You could see no one around, but drove right in. At the far end of the enclosure we could see some piles of long, heavy planks, and in a few minutes had selected 4 splendid planks, 8½ inches wide, 2½ inches thick, and 21 feet long. Just then a Burmese lad, about 15 years old, stood beside me and said in perfect English, "Do you want to buy those planks, sir?" I said, "I certainly do, my boy. What time will the clerk come?" "The clerk will not come, sir," replied the lad, "but I am the son of the mill owner, and I can sell you that lumber." "What made you come so early?" I asked, as he figured away on the price. "Sir, it is rather a strange experience. You know, we evacuated to the other side of the river 3 weeks ago, but this morning, quite suddenly at 4 o'clock, my father woke me up and said, 'Son, I've just thought of some important papers that are still in my desk. Go now and get them. If you wait till day, people will see you and will want to buy lumber, and you will be detained. So go now, son.' And do you know, I had just opened the gates and gone into the office when I heard you drive in." My eyes were big with wonder as he spoke, and I said, "My boy, it was my God that woke your father up at 4 o'clock this morning." Then I told him of the experience we had gone through, and told him I was sure it was all God's way of answering prayer. "Maybe so, sir," he replied solemnly, "maybe so." We loaded our planks into our bullock wagon and drove out of the gate. As we turned south to go to the river bank where our car ferry was being built, the son of the mill owner came out, shut and locked the gates, and turned in the opposite direction to take the important papers to his father. I cannot describe the joy that filled my heart. My Lord was so real I could almost feel his presence. I didn't feel like talking, so I walked silently along, thanking God every step of the way, and we walked over a mile before the boatman broke the silence. He touched my hand and solemnly said, "Your God did talk to you, didn't he? He told you what to do, didn't he?" The planks were at the river's edge by 9:30. We had them placed and laced down by 10:30. The two cars were both loaded by 11:30, and with the cars and all our luggage on board, we pushed out into the current. We arrived at Pakoku, 50 miles south and on the other side of the river, early the next morning after sleeping part of the night on a quiet little sandbank. The cars were unloaded, and in 10 more days we were at the pass leading into India, out of danger from the enemy army. But what if we hadn't prayed? But what if we hadn't obeyed?